Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm going to give you my 5 tips to focus on before you start homesteading. Whether that's off-grid or on-grid, some good tips to make your life and your family's life a lot easier. Stay tuned for more. So the first thing I want to tell you guys to do, or at least the number one tip I have for anybody that is even thinking about living off-grid, research. You're going to get sick of me saying this, I swear to you, but research. Absolutely research. That's not only going to be for like your state laws, but that is also going to be for what you want to do. If you want to raise chickens, if you want to have a garden, if you want to learn how to make bread from scratch, research. I keep all of my research notes in a book, and it's got like 40 pages in it already, and 25 of them are on chickens alone. Yeah, a lot of research. A lot of research. I did have some knowledge about chickens from when I was little. But, I mean, you forget things. I don't know everything there is to know. And even with all this research, I still don't know everything there is to know about chickens. As our friend would say, you can spend your entire life studying an eyeball of a chicken. You're not going to know everything. Because things change, things happen. There are so many things out there that we don't really truly understand. So at least get the knowledge, as much knowledge as you can for whatever it is you're going to do. And definitely before you move, laws. Know your laws. You have to know your laws. We've ran into a couple things. And I did my research. I did our research in regards to what county, what state, the cities in the area, things like that, in regards to a lot of these laws. What I failed to do is actually dig into more of the zoning laws. I did do some zoning law information and got kind of a feel for what our zoning would be for our land and what that would be. But I didn't really truly dig into it too much, and I did not make phone calls and talk to county officials to find out more information. So definitely do your homework. Yeah, that's number 1. So number 2, before you move out on to land and you start this incredible journey, set a budget. Take a look at your own finances. Be realistic. Be realistic. Unless you are filthy rich or you make a lot of money, this, that, or the other, set a budget. I mean, look at your overall costs. Cut the excess off. Because homesteading in itself has a lot of potential areas of being cheap to free to cheap. But there are a lot of aspects of it that is going to cost you a lot. So you need to make sure that you understand those costs. We are going to raise chickens. Well, that saves us from having that part of the grocery bill, right? We're not going to have to buy chicken eggs, or once our broilers are of harvesting size, then, that'll save us on having to go to the grocery store and purchase a chicken for dinner. But there are costs to having chickens. You gotta feed them. We can free range ours because we have so much land that free ranging and moving them around is not going to be too much of a problem. But in the wintertime, we're definitely still going to have to feed them. Our layers, we're going to have to feed pretty regularly because they need a lot more calcium in their diet than in just your regular meat birds do. And it has to do with their eggs, and more to come on that. So there's that extra cost. And then you have a lot of upfront costs that you're going to have. I.e. if you're building a home. If you're doing what me and Josh are doing, we are using reclaimed material. We are going to chop down some of the larger trees where our home building site is. We are going to make cordwood. We are repurposing, reusing, using the material around us. We may have to buy some stuff new, but we are going to try to avoid buying new as much as humanly possible. So that's saving us. But, you know, if your area requires you to have a contractor come in, there's going to be costs. Budget that. If you have to have a septic tank, that gets really expensive. And all the testing that goes with it. So know that. But cutting costs, you can cut costs by preserving your own food, like canning, making jellies, drying your meat, having a root cellar for your potatoes and carrots and apples and things like that. You can cut costs by cutting out extra bills that you don't need to have, i.e. Netflix, people. Cut the Netflix. When you live this far out where we do, our internet connection out here is intermittent at best. So it's difficult for us to watch a lot of Netflix, and that it does drain our batteries on our phones and on our tablet. So we have to utilize batteries on the truck or on our solar panel. So that's wear and tear. That's extra wear and tear. I mean, gotta think about all those things. So, budget. Definitely budget. For us, I think the biggest cost thus far for us is the solar system. But it's not going to be the biggest expense. The biggest expense is probably going to be fixing our road. We have basically a half-mile drive, and the entire thing needs to be re-graveled. It needs to be regraded, leveled out, fixed, gravel packed. It's bad. It's bad. Basically, if you don't have a 4x4, you can't come see us right now because you can't get to our house. Or you have to walk the half mile, and it's like this and this, and it's just, we've walked it so many times it's not too bad for us, but for a lot of other people it's it's a little too much. So, you know, budget. And things do break. Josh is going to discuss with you guys in a future video coming up about the solar system and the installation and all the do's and don'ts to that. And now we may have to replace an entire inverter because he made it oops, a do not do move. And so you'll be learning from his own personal experience and our personal experience on, you know, what not to do. But he is really great with electronics, like stupid good at electronics. And he made just the silliest mistake, and he potentially fried our inverter. In his defense, it's a really old inverter anyways. We should have just gotten a new one. So that's an extra expense that we weren't calculating into our budget. Now that we have to calculate into our budget and eventually pick up and purchase. So budget. Get really good at it. So I guess I should really revise my numbers, because honestly, I was thinking about it, and number one should be, what is your goal? Understand your goal with this lifestyle. Whether it's off grid or if it's on grid, understanding what your own personal goal is with it and your family's goal with it should be number one. Like, are you guys doing this for the right reasons? If it's to save money, don't do it. Don't do it. There's a lot of things that can happen that can cost you just as much money as if you were on grid, off grid, still living in the city. If it's for sustainability, if it's for self-reliance, if it's for knowing where your food's coming from and having that control over what's going into your body, being able to be wildlife management and care for the environment around you, go for it. Go back to researching and budgeting and whatever it is that you need to do in your own world. But make sure you guys have that conversation, whether you're an individual or you're doing it with your family or with family and friends, kind of like what we're doing. Make sure you guys all have the same goal in mind. Somebody may just want to do it cheap and not really understand what's really going on and what it's really going to be like. And somebody else may really want to put a lot into it and make it where it's a sustainable resource for you guys. And, sitting down and having that conversation about how far you want to go with this. I mean, you guys can go completely as far as you want to. For Josh and I, it's pretty much all the way. Like, raising our own meats, having our own chickens, for eggs and for meat purposes, like living that old pioneer way. Me making my own breads, growing the grain to make my own breads, canning everything, preserving everything, smokehouse for preserving meats, on top of salt baths for meats, utilizing a lot of those old school ways and traditions that are dying out. Me being a historian, I find a lot of interest in doing it because I get to actually experience what it's like, but this is the rest of my life. I'm also really into being self-reliant. So, understanding how far you want to go. Do you want to go all the way to Little House on the Prairie, or are you guys just wanting a backyard garden? So, I understand that before you make the jump. So, number 4 would have to be, make sure you guys take your time, take a breath, slow down. The reason why I say that is because, first off, life's too short to be rushed around with your head chopped off. Take a moment to enjoy the adventure. Like I said, whether it's, just your backyard garden that you're doing, or if you are doing Little House on the Prairie here. Take your time and enjoy the moment. But also remember that you have to have a sense of urgency, because some stuff has to be done pretty quick. You can't procrastinate. That's the reality of it. You gotta get up in the morning. You have to feed chickens. You've gotta get up in the morning and you check on your garden. Things have to be done pretty much on a daily basis. Goodness, this wind and rain today. We need it. I'm not complaining. But also remember, do take your time, because accidents can happen. And if you're rushing through something, you're putting your animals, yourself, people around you, your garden, a lot of things at risk when you rush. So don't rush. Enjoy the experience. Definitely enjoy the experience. But know that, whether it's a backyard garden and it's a backyard chickens, or if you go to Little House on the Prairie, then it's going to be hard work. It doesn't matter what level you're at or what you're doing. You have to fully commit to it. A garden is work. Chickens are work. Pigs are work. Horses are work. Cattle is work. I know I've done most of these things. I've worked around cattle. I've worked around horses. I've had goats and pigs and chickens and dealt with sheep, and we've gardened, like mass scale garden before. Well, I say mass scale. We gave away so much vegetables that year that was insane. So, but back to the point, take your time, take a breath, and enjoy it. Because at the end of the day, you're building towards something that is going to be a positive for your family. And enjoy, take the bad with the good. Because every bad day is a lesson towards having better days. Number 5. Now keep in mind, these are not in any particular order. But this is still pretty important to know before you make the jump. Learn some skills before you do this. What I mean by that is, if you're going to go off-grid, or if you're going to homestead, take the time to learn skills. Whether that's taking classes on sheep, or asking someone how to work a saw, or how to hammer something, or fix something. Learn some skills before you do this. Don't jump in thinking that you already know, or it'll come easy, or it'll come naturally. Not everybody is like that. Not everybody is naturally talented in certain areas that are needed in this particular setting. I'm really good with animals. I tend to have a lot of knowledge about animals, and I love animals, so that's what I bring. Josh brings electrical. We have somebody else that's like carpentry and plants, and Josh has got the plants. And where we come in is we learn from each other. There are going to be things that I know that they don't. There are definitely things that they know that I don't have a clue about. So make sure you guys learn some skills before you do this. That goes into number 1, do your research. So, yeah. Learn a skill. It's awesome. So, I just wanted to share those 5 things with you guys. I will probably update them as we go. I will probably revamp my list several times as we learn and as we do this. It's been an exciting ride so far. It's awesome. I have, my lettuces popping up already. I have my starter plants in our makeshift greenhouses, which I will take pictures and show you guys these makeshift greenhouses. You can't buy these in stores. I mean, you can, but we're repurposing them for what they're actually intended for. So, be resourceful. That's, I think, another little great tip for you guys. Always be resourceful with what you have around you. But this journey has been insane. So enjoy those moments. Document the good, the bad, the ugly. Because at the end of the day, if you choose this lifestyle, if you choose to go down this road, it's beautiful. So, tell the next person.